the network.
Bow. What's up, everybody? Once again, it's Brand Man Sean, and I'm back with another link up. And today I am linking up with MJ. He is currently West Coast Promotions Coordinator at Def Jam Recordings, classic record label in hip hop in particular. If you don't know, man, you got to do your research. But this guy, like so many people, has a story and an interesting perspective, because it's something we can always learn from everybody. And just a few things I've learned about you so far, it has my mind reeling. So before I even get to my very first question, I just want to say, first and foremost, appreciate you hopping on, man, linking up with me. And yeah, man, thanks for showing up in a time like this with Corona and all.
Most definitely, man.
So let's start here, right? Yeah, promotions, coordinator at Def Jam. There's a lot we could really talk about some of the inner workings just in a label system in general and what the coordinator really looks like. But you said earlier that you've been in this thing since you were 17, right?
Yeah, I've been pretty much 17.
It was music specifically since 17?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, it was music ever since I was like, at 17 years old, I knew I wanted to be in the music business. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up in the era where, P. Diddy, Dame Dash, like all of those guys were just super inspiring to me. So at 17 years old, that's when you kind of figure out what you want to do in life. That was around that time that I was like, yo, I want to be in the business.
Okay, got you. So, but you went straight to business. You didn't try none of that artist stuff. You just straight up.
Well, I did. No. I mean, just as any 13 or 14-year-old kid, I mean, you try to throw your hand into rapping. I wasn't that good, but you know what I'm saying? Like I tried it out for a little bit, but it wasn't nothing serious. But I had a passion for music. So when I was 17 years old, I watched like this documentary on YouTube about like Rockefeller and stuff like that. And I was like intrigued by like Dame and Biggs and like just the business side of it. And it was at that point I was like, yo, like I can maybe, be behind the scenes rather than in front of the scenes.
That's real. Well, hey, it's dope that you set off on that path so early, man, because a lot of people learn hard lessons and can't admit that they weren't that great of an artist. You know what I mean?
I was garbage. And this is how I knew I was garbage. Because see, at 17, this is right when Kendrick Lamar had came out. This is right when we were still like in the like OJ the Juice Man, Waka Flocka era. So like you would think like, oh, I can do that. And Kendrick came out of nowhere with Section 80, and that was like one of the albums that like changed my life. And I was like, that's when I realized that like, this dude is the greatest that ever did it, and I'm terrible. And that's when I stopped. I heard Kendrick Lamar, Section 80, the Rigor Mortis track. I don't know if you heard that record, but Rigor Mortis. That's when I knew I was not good.
I can't do this.
I can't do that ever. It's like one of the things I was like, I can't do these. So
that's crazy when you say it like that. I wonder how many rappers' careers Kendrick done killed, like just prematurely.
Because he was a young dude. He was, because I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up in the Jay and Nas era. I knew of them, but they weren't like artists that I was like really into until later. Like Kendrick, I was there from day one, and like this dude is early 20s out the gate, and at that time he was better than Jay and Nas in my eyes. Like this dude was just the illest. I was just like, yo, this dude. It's something serious. You know what? Let's try something else.
All right. So, what was your first like parlay into music when you felt like, all right, I'm in this thing, no matter how deep or whatever or how successful, but I was in it. You felt like you were just in it.
When I felt like I was in it, I would say when I was an intern at Atlantic in 2017. And I was volunteering for this Grammy party. Okay. And I saw, like, I was volunteering and I'm seeing like all of these like executives and like millionaires just walking around and eating hors d'oeuvres and drinking champagne. And I'm like, yo, this is the dopest thing I've ever seen. And I saw, you remember 106 in Park?
Yeah, of course, man. Come on now.
I don't know. But AJ, I saw AJ from 106 in Park at the event, and he like shook my hand. And at that moment, that's when I knew I was like in the business to a degree. Like, I was like, yo, this is a guy that I watched as growing up. So it was like when I was an intern in Atlanta that I knew like, all right, I'm in the right direction.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay. So this had to be post locks. AJ.
Yeah, he had the fade and everything. He was done. Like, this is like 2017, so he was like well on to in a whole different life at this point in time.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, I definitely know that feeling when you talk about meeting people that you watched, and it's just a whole nother. It's a different feeling. You don't, even if you desire it, it's almost like you don't expect to be on that side of things at the same time.
Because like to see these people that you grew up watching and idolizing to a certain degree, and you seeing them in the flesh. Because I'm from Arkansas, so it's like from Arkansas to Los Angeles is a huge difference in lifestyle. So I'm from the projects and everything. So just being out in LA and seeing celebrities and just seeing the lifestyle, and AJ was like the first celebrity that I saw that shook my hand. That's when I knew like, I'm going in the right direction. Man.
So yeah, that has to be a black and white, just an eye-opening experience going from Arkansas just to LA. I've never been to Arkansas, but my grandma's from Little Rock, and I always say I was
school at.
What you say?
This one school at college.
Oh, bet. Yeah, so but the stories I've heard and just understand the climate over there. Yeah, it's a world of difference to even go from Atlanta to LA, but going from Arkansas to LA, what was that like outside of just the celebrities and things like that? What were like even the small things that you really kind of like noticed, like, yo, this is different out here?
Well, you gotta look at it from a point of view like when I graduated in 2016, and right when I graduated, I kind of had like an epiphany to like really go for it, and I drove from Arkansas to LA. Like I literally picked up everything in my '08 Kia Rio and drove, I think it was like 1,200 miles from Arkansas to LA, and just was like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Hey, bro, that's not a big car. I had that car, bro. I can't.
Yeah, it's all Kia. Yo, and I'm tall, so it's like, yo, I had like one container in the Kia Rio, and I literally drove. It's like an emoji car, and I drove from Arkansas to LA, bro, and. When I got to LA, man, and I saw the palm trees, and I finally made it because it was a 3-day drive, and I drove down. I didn't have nothing but like $500 in my pocket. I spent like $300 getting there, gas, hotel, food. I wasn't good with money at that time, and I got out here, and it was like the palm trees, and it was just when I landed in LA, I was just like, yo, no matter what. The fact that I tried means everything to me. Like no matter what happens, if it doesn't work, at least I know I tried. But the biggest eye opener to me was just, the lights and just seeing people look happy. Like people just looked happy. Like you would see like, the Instagram models with the Starbucks cups and the guys with the colorful shirts and wearing the shoes with no socks. I was like, yo, this is dope. Like everyone looked happy. And I wanted to be happy. That was my thing. I wanted to be like them. I just wanted to be happy.
Hey, man. Well, it looked like it sounds like you achieved it, man. When I look at you, man, you got that energy about you. I know you've had to been told that a few times. You definitely got an energy about yourself, man. You got to be a killer networker, man. Yeah,
man. I always try to, man, because you just never know. We're in the industry where you have to network, and and I've always been a people's person. I've always been a people's person because at the end of the day, I feel like we all in this together, and especially right now, we are all in this together.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, exactly, man. It's been one of the talents that I had just growing up, just being able to befriend people and just network. And one of the things that is how I got to this point. It was all through networking because I didn't know nobody in LA. I'm from Arkansas. I didn't know no one in LA. I came to LA to know a soul, not no one. And, at every event, all the free events they had, whatever it was, I would just pop up, introduce myself. My name being Michael Jackson was the best icebreaker ever. So, it wasn't that hard. You cracked a smile, I got you.
Yeah.
And
that's real.
Yeah, it was just through networking and just meeting people at every stop and just expressing that I wanted to be in the business and meeting one person, introducing me to the next person. That's how I kind of got to this point.
Got you. So you obviously you did a few internships. What's your perspective on internships in music? Because I hear a lot of people, it's a different day and age, and people sometimes don't talk about not wanting to do internships in music. Some people say the way they've gotten treated. I know there's various experiences, but what's your insight and experience with internships in music?
I feel like internships it's kind of like, I put it to you like this. I believe in paying your dues. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And I believe in proving that you want, right? So like, I'm a part of a fraternity, right? I'm an alpha, you know what I'm saying? So I came into the mentality of someone that had pledged was the worst thing ever I had ever been through, to be like, oh, this is nothing. Like, you want me to go get coffee? Okay, that's nothing. You want me to, go print something? Oh, this is nothing. And I always believe that, that's how you separate. Internships to me are how you separate the people who really want it and the people that kind of want it. I feel like that is because at the end of the day, to me, I was in it because I love music, hip hop to be specific, but I was in it because this is what I want to do in my life, not because I wanted to hang out with artists or just be having dope Instagram moments. Like, no, I really want to be a part of this, right? So me personally, I believe that internships are a great indicator to kind of see like, okay, if we hire this person, they're going to give it 110 nonstop every day. And as an intern, that's what I did. Like, I want to say I had a total of 4 internships, up until landing my first job in the mailroom. It was the first job. So, every internship I learned something new, but every internship I was able to just, be able to really hone in on the fact of just grind, like pure grind, like first one in, last person to leave type of grind. Like, no matter what, MJ is going to do it. And I have that mentality to me right now. Like, no matter what, I do it. You know what I'm saying? And I had to do some crazy tasks, but I did it. And I made it happen.
What's the craziest task that you can think of off top?
As an intern or just as an assistant?
Whichever one's worse.
I have so many, bro. The craziest task I think I ever had to do. Off top, it's just the top of my head. I think back to last year. It was like my first year at Def Jam, and we was throwing this event show. We had signed all these new artists, and we was doing like a Grammy Week showcase for these artists, right? And we had like all these boxes of merch, and we had this huge like Def Jam tone arm and like alcohol. We had a lot of things that need to be transported from the office to the venue. Well, the people that was putting it together never thought or how this was going to get from the office to the venue. So everyone was like freaking out, like, yo, like, can you put this? Like, no, it's not going to fit in no one's car. This stuff is huge. So within the 11th hour, I say, yo, me just being country and from the South, I'm like, yo, I'm going to go get a U-Haul truck. So I go get a U-Haul truck, put everything in the U-Haul truck, and drive on the highway, on the 405, in traffic with boxes of merch, alcohol to this venue, right? Yeah. And to me, I was just like, yo, like, this is I'm literally driving a U-Haul truck. Like, it was just the craziest thing ever. Like, yo, and that was like one of the things that sometimes you just got to do to get the job done.
And it separated you. Yeah. I said, and that's a part of what separated you. Just thinking small things that get it done like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because we couldn't find a moving truck in time. It wouldn't fit in the car. I was like, yo. And I was like, yo, who's gonna drive a U-Haul truck? And I volunteered to drive a U-Haul truck. Like, you gotta think of U-Haul trucks are kind of huge. And
yeah, especially in LA.
Yeah, and I was just like, yo, I don't know how to, like, you gotta be a certain type of driver to drive any type of truck.
Oh, you were driving one of those big U-Hauls.
Yeah, keep in mind, I've been driving a Kia Rio for like 2 years. So Kia Rio.
Okay, yeah. For you, that was a huge jump. Yeah.
You know, but I did what I had to do, and I did what had to be done. And I got another great story too. So you know how Puff has this story about the cheesecake? It's like this infamous story about the cheesecake, right? Yeah. So that same weekend, maybe like the night before, we had an artist whose birthday was that night, and they wanted to get her an ice cream cake at 9 o'clock at night, right? Yeah. Most stores are closed, and so like I'm running around Hollywood trying to find an ice cream cake, right? So when you drive in Hollywood, like parking is the toughest thing to find, right? Yeah. So I literally park across the 101 freeway and run across the freeway just so I can go get the ice cream cake and then run back without getting hit.
Man.
I got the ice cream cake. The girl was happy that she got the cake. But it was just one of those things that, like, in this business, you know, and the story sounds super crazy. Like, when I tell you stories, it sounds super crazy. Yeah. But it was just, at that point in time, and still now, I was willing to do whatever it is to get the task done.
I feel you, man. I mean, and that's a part of it. Like the fact that you were, like when you mentioned being in the mailroom, whenever I hear mailroom, man, like for one, it surprises me that those still exist sometimes. Cause I don't even like going to my mailbox. Like for real, to a flaw that's a whole nother story. But like the fact that you did that right, and then next thing you know, you're at Def Jam. When you were at Def Jam, did you start as the promotions coordinator, or were you something else before?
Yeah, so I went from the mailroom. So I was in the mailroom for the Grammys, the Recording Academy. So I was in the mailroom there for like I think about 6 months, and then from there I jumped into the coordinator position, which is like. What I joke about all the time is that even though I'm titled as a coordinator, I'm really like 3 roles in one. It's like coordinator, the executive assistant to 2 executive vice presidents. So I literally have like 3 roles in one.
Okay.
But they just give me the coordinator to kind of just make it sound good.
So what does that really look like on a day-to-day? You know what I mean? For people for your role and just similar roles like that. And when we think about promotions.
You talking about the department or just the role itself?
Actually, let's talk department. Like what is today? What does it look like for a promotions department at a label?
All right, so a promotions department. So basically a promotions department's main job is to get your song on the radio. That is, you know, and, you know, you might think, oh, like radio is outdated, but radio still plays a huge part in an artist's success, right? So, like, when you look at those Billboard numbers, being at a Billboard #1, radio still plays a percentage in an artist getting the #1 on Billboard, right? And the accolades of, like, you still have top 40 radio, you have rhythm radio, you have urban radio, right? And so, like, the main job of a label is to basically build the promotions department is to basically build the relationships with the program directors and the DJs to get your song played as many times as they can in a week. So, you know, when those songs are added and if the DJs are playing it, the goal is that consumers will hear the music, Shazam the music, and then stream the music, you know, and that's pretty much the ultimate goal. And, you know, it's basically kind of a thing where, you know, our department mainly touches the community, right? And that's the thing about our department, right? We'll go do like a lifestyle event. We might do album listening party. So those events are mostly held by the promotions department. You know, we might go do a showcase in the neighborhood, or the artist might, you know what I'm saying, come to the radio station to do an interview. You know, we're the ones that coordinate that. You know, if the artist is on tour you know, and people want to go to the tour, we work with radio to give out free tickets, or we go on site to do the meet and greets and stuff like that. So basically, we're kind of like a liaison for the artists and the community as a whole.
Got you. Okay. So when you talk about radio, by the way, and all of those factors when it comes to your rankings on these charts, is radio the most heavily weighted out of those still?
No, when it comes to, at this point, streaming is the most that's weighted, but radio plays, I want to say, and I have to look on Billboard, I want to say it's about 15 to 20%. It's not as weighted because it's kind of like you have radio, you have streaming, and that's another factor on there as well with the Billboard, where it all is calculated. Like Billboard has some type of formula that calculates radio. I think sales, I think they still do like actual unit sales and streaming, and then they combine it, and then that's how you go on the Billboard Hot 100. You know, like right now, Drake's Tootsie Roll, not Tootsie Roll. What's that?
Tootsie Slide.
Tootsie Slide. Yeah. The Tootsie Slide is like the #1 on Billboard, and it's getting like heavy radio play right now, right? So all of that is weighed in to get him that #1 slot that he has right now.
Got you. That's interesting. Like, so what is your measure of success, or the department's measure of success at radio? How can y'all determine y'all hits?
Yeah, I mean, so the department itself, major goal is to get the song. So radio itself has their own chart as well, right? So sometimes you can Google and say like on Billboard, they have a section where it's like the rhythm chart or the urban chart or the top 40 chart, right? So the promotion's goal itself is to get a song all the way up the chart as much as they can. You know, ultimately, we want to get a #1, right? So that's the ultimate goal, is to get a the rhythm chart or the top 40 chart. And basically what that does is just another accolade for the artist. You know, the artist like, oh, I got #1 on rhythm, or I got #1 on urban radio, which basically means this is the #1 song played across all urban radio stations, all rhythm radio stations in the world. Right? So the ultimate goal basically is to get a song all the way up. And for the labels, it's this thing called market share, right? So at the end of the year or quarterly, you might see the Billboard might publish a chart like Universal has this much market share, Warner has this much, Sony has this much. Radio plays a part in that, and making sure like if you chart a certain position, when they look at how well all the music that was released from that label, they'll say, oh, Def Jam had these many songs to chart in the top 10 or the top 5, so they have this much of the market share as a whole.
Got you. And all the labels are vying for market share at the end of the day.
Yes, that's basically, like I said, at the end of the goal, every label is fighting for market share, because at the end of the day, it all equates back to the bottom line, right? Which is to get consumers listening to the music and buying the music. And basically, like I said, which, you know, turns into revenue. At the end of the day, it's still a business, and they want to make money, right? So you invest your money into radio, so the song is played more, people will hear the song more, DJs will play the song more, people will stream it or buy it or go to the concerts or whatever the case may be, which all equates back to the bottom line, you know?
Got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, where are you with things in terms of the trajectory of your career? And I know you might not necessarily be done with this role, but, you know, considering now being in music, because music is one of those places where there's so many different things to do. It's really hard to know exactly what you want to do coming in sometimes. So after you've learned and seen quite a few things, do you feel like you have a good feeling on what you actually want to do next?
What I would love to do next is probably not going to happen. I would love to be president. That's not going to happen. But, you know, that's just the ultimate goal for myself is to be, I mean, I think for any young music executive or any young person in the music, you know, I'm a competitor. So at the end of the day, I want to be in that #1 role. You know what I'm saying? So for me, the ultimate goal to myself is to become president of Def Jam at some point. But like I said, what's next, you know, it's corporate at the end of the day, and corporate has its own structure. You know, from a coordinator, I go into a manager role, and from a manager, you go into a director, and then senior director, then vice president, then senior vice president, then executive vice president. And at that point in time, that's where you kind of reach your ceiling in the department is the executive vice president. Then after you become that, depending on what you do next, if you're lucky enough, you can be the executive vice president of the label. You might be the you might be the vice president of the label. And, you know, and after that, of course, it's the president or general manager, have the, you know, corporate structure laid out.
Got you. Mm-hmm. So being somebody who's in that side of the system, how do you view the other side, right? The more independent side, when we talk about the artists being, you know, independent and not getting signed by labels, and that whole perspective against that, and even a lot of executive types that aren't at a label, right? They're still like the young business professionals in music, but they're kind of finding their own different ways and navigating. How do you view that side, and what makes you choose the side that you've chosen?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the artist, I always say, you know, at the end of the day, you still need a team. So whether you have a label or not, you still need a team in order to successfully put out your music, promote your music, et cetera, et cetera. But the indie lane is not for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I feel like, to me, honestly, I think the indie lane is best for artists who've already built a following and are already, like, you know, been able to make money on their own without a label's help. You know, if you're a veteran, like if you're a rapper like that came out in the 90s or whatever the case may be, and you had your success, why you should be signed to a label in 2020. You know what I'm saying? You have your catalog, you can go do your shows. You can't do them now. But once it's over with, you can go back to doing your shows, selling your merch, etc. You don't need a label because you already built the brand up to be what it is. Mm-hmm. For an indie artist, you know, it's kind of like you're playing. I feel like nowadays with a lot of indie artists, you're playing a game of luck. Like, you know, artists that kind of pop off now, like Lil Nas X is like once in a lifetime. That's luck. You know what I'm saying? That is pure luck. Great record. Don't get it wrong. It's a great record. But it's pure luck. You know what I'm saying? And everyone can't do what Lil Nas X did. You know what I'm saying? It's rare that an artist will pop off with one. And sometimes, you know, you have, and he eventually signed to a label, you know, after he had already popped. You know what I'm saying? So you have some artists who are able to do them by themselves and be able to have that success and maintain that success. But did you have some artists who want to take it to the next level? You know, when Lil Nas X signed to Columbia Records, it took it to the next level. You know, by putting Billy Ray Cyrus on it, he went diamond, he won the Grammys, like he did all of that due to the label's help. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if the indie game works, and it all depends on what an artist want out of their career. You know, you have some artists who don't care about winning awards, don't care about, you know, all the video press and going on Jimmy Fallon and all of that stuff, all the things that a label provide. Because basically a label has the relationships, you know, the relationships with Spotify and Apple and all of the new news press, Variety, and everything like that, where indie artists might not have that. So if you're an artist, say like, I don't know, Tech9, you know, who never really cared about having the labels push, right? I just want to make my music, I want to tour, make money. That's totally fine. To pick up from the next question about executives, I often think, well, it depends on the person and where they're coming from. Like if I was a person, if I grew up in Atlanta, if I grew up in Los Angeles, if I grew up in New York, in a major city where things were popping off, then yeah, of course, why not do the indie role, right? Because you are in a big enough market to where you can do that. I'm from Arkansas. So, you know, ain't nobody looking down there. So I didn't really have the resources to pretty much do the indie role as an executive. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I kind of grew up, you know, I'm a young kid, I'm from the projects, didn't come from money. So at that point in time, I'm just trying to make enough to feed myself, you know? So for me, I felt like the best route for me was to go the corporate route until I'm able to, you know, garner up the brand, build the relationships, have the success. And if I choose to, then I can go the indie route, you know? So I think it all really depends on the person itself. But like I said, I chose the more corporate structure mainly because I felt like just being where I was from and having a disadvantage, and getting in a corporate system, building relationships, you know, it would allow me to have the choice to do the indie route or stay corporate if I choose to.
Right.
So that's pretty much why.
Oh, that makes sense. You always have to understand where you are and then what position is going to get you to where you need to be. So that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Being at a label, like you said, the relationships just naturally happens versus you having to hustle one by one. Now you're just around it at all times.
And we all know each other. It's a cliche, but it's a very, very small industry. Everyone really knows everyone. You know what I'm saying? You go to an event, you see the same people, and it's always, I hear people always say, like, people always try to network up. Like, I need to know who the CVP is, the EVP. Like, no, really, it's networking across. Yeah. Like, I'm in group chats full of assistants and coordinators. We all know each other. We all have relationships with each other. We all hang out. You know what I'm saying? Me and the interns are cool. Me and the next guy who's coming up behind me are cool. So I always say, like, to me, it's always best to kind of just not just network up, but network across and build those relationships. Because in 5 years, 10 years, y'all are going to be the new CVPs. Y'all going to be the new EVPs. And then you have pull, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to have some type of power in decision making. You know what I'm saying? So if I see an artist that I really, really like, I'm like, yo, I'm in a position where I can sign this artist, then I can do so. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing, like, I have a homie that might want to be in the business, and I can make a phone call to give him an internship or give him an assistant role. I'm able to do that because I've built relationships coming up, so, yeah.
Got you. It's a long game.
Yeah.
And I got to ask it while you're here because we kind of talked about both sides, but again, there's this whole idea of you don't need labels or labels are evil. Artists have all this reasoning for not getting signed, right? What do you say to that, being somebody who's in that side of things?
I will say this. You do not need a label, right? Nowadays with the internet, you have the option to put your music out. You have the option to promote your music. Everything that a label was so valuable for, everyone has the access to do it themselves.
Right.
However, I will say this. A lot of people who downplay a label, well, it depends on where they come from. If they are someone that's trying to get noticed and they downplay a label, it's mainly because no one signed them. That's one reason. Another reason why, if you are an artist and you downplay the label, it's basically just an indicator that you did bad business. You signed a contract that you didn't get looked over. You didn't read. You didn't have a lawyer look over. You didn't even have a lawyer. Like, you basically did bad business at the end of the day, right? Because, at the end of the day, a label's job it's a business. In business, your goal is to make money. You know what I'm saying? And as an artist, you have to figure out and negotiate a way that you can kind of come and like a mutual partnership with the company versus being someone that's in debt with the company because you got your advance and you blew it on foreign cars and you didn't think about it saving it or investing it into other things. Right. One of the biggest misconceptions that you hear a lot about labels, and it's something I had to learn over time. Artists are always like, I'm gonna own my masters. You hear people talk about like, yo, you gotta own your masters, right? Here's the thing, right? If a label is gonna spend $1 to $2 million up front for you to record your album, put the album out, pay your team, et cetera, they have to have something. They're paying for something, right? The master recording, is an asset over time, right? It's your catalog, right? Yeah. And especially now when streaming is at an all-time high, the catalog really kind of makes more money than the new music that comes out, So that's why you always hear about the Beatles catalog or Rolling Stones catalog or Michael Jackson's catalog, no pun intended. Just all the catalogs that are super, super valuable and they're worth millions of dollars now, right? Yeah. So you want to own your masters if you can, but at the same time, you got to realize the label done put millions of dollars into recording this project. The project belongs to the label. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you were to put your own money up and do a distribution deal, which a lot of people do, then it's a different conversation you can have, right? like every day, the infamous Cash Money deal, I think it was 85-15 split.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Birdman negotiated that. You ain't never heard Birdman downplaying the label. Birdman got money.
Yeah.
You ain't never heard Birdman downplaying the label because he got what he wanted.
Yeah.
So it's all about how you negotiate, man. And at the end of the day, one of the things I will say, and this is just me just seeing things over time, right? A lot of the kids that get signed, a lot of the artists come from like poverty-stricken environments where they don't know nothing. They don't know much, right? And you're a new artist, someone's waving around $1 million check. Like, yo, you sign this right now, I'm gonna get you walk out here with $1 million. You don't technically walk out with $1 million, it covers everything else. But it's like, yo, I'm gonna get $1 million check. You come from the projects, you know what I'm saying? You go back to in your mind, you're like, yo, I'm gonna sign this piece of paper, get this $1 million check, and go on about my life. You're not thinking about the long game, right? Yeah. Labels do take advantage of that, right? Yeah. That's why I think it's very important for people like me, you, other people coming into the music business to be in those positions where we can look out for the younger artists that's coming up, because at the end of the day, a lot of young artists don't know any better. And it's not until over time when the money dried up, when you're not hot no more. But that's the reality. All the young artists that's popping right now ain't gonna be hot after a while, right?
After this, right now, from half of them.
Especially after this. Listen, you was able to do your shows. You had that single that was popping. You was able to do your shows, et cetera, et cetera. COVID-19 happened, and no more shows, bitch. No. So now, if you ain't getting no royalties, you sitting up in that house with that pool, and that mortgage is due, and them 4-5 cars you got in the garage is due, and your 3 baby mamas is asking where that money at. Bad shape.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, hip-hop, that's the thing, hip-hop has always been like that. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be hot forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like every artist, like Jay-Z is once in a lifetime. Drake, once in a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Because there's artists that always gonna be hot forever. Who would ever thought Nelly was gonna fall off? Like Nelly, let's be for real. Like whoever, like Nelly was my generation's Drake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like literally. For real.
Yeah, and Nelly made smart business investments. So, because when those singles, when those shows start to slow up, it's like y'all got money in other different places. So I just think like for new artists, you have to do great business. You have to think 5, 10, 20 years from now, because people are not going to come to your shows, and you're not going to be able to make as much money as you make it now unless you invest forward. J. Cole talked about the young boy. What's the guy, the light-skinned guy, Gucci gang? What's the guy name? Lil Pump.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been seeing what's happening on him on social media, but that boy's falling off hard.
Nah, I actually haven't.
The boy painting his nails and everything. He's going through it. This COVID-19.
I just remember looking at him the last time I saw him, which probably, had to be sometime this year. It was just crazy because you can tell that he went through an extra phase of puberty. I was just like, yo, this dude look like more like a man now, which, and sometimes those little names don't translate as well. Like with that character, you come in and now you look like a grown dude, beard starting to come in and stuff.
That's Lil Zane. Nope, don't work out.
Not Lil Zane, man. I haven't heard that name in a minute.
Hey, man, it happens, man. Evolution, man. This, like I said, every artist has their time. Yeah. It's a 3-year limit. 3 to 5 if you're lucky, but really a 3-year limit. You hot as hell 1 year, you medium warm the 2nd year, and by that 3rd year, we on something else.
Yeah.
We on something, and that's the climate of the music. It's fast food. Comes here and goes. Here today, on this week. I ain't listened to the same thing I listened to last Friday.
So, even artists like the Migos, how long was their run? Like 5?
What was it? I think when did Versace come out? Like 2011, 2010?
Oh yeah, so they had a strong almost a decade, right? It was about 8 years.
Yeah, because it was popping like when I was. I think with the Migos is different because it was, and people kind of like. First of all, you gotta look at it. It's not that many rap groups. one. And every single person had their own style. And it was kind of like over time, a different member kind of carried the group into like a certain phase. Like first it was all about Quavo, right? Quavo was the Beyonce of the Migos.
True.
And it slowly went to Offset, you know, does the Cardi B relationship. Slowly went to Offset. And Offset kind of gave him a second life. Takeoff is Takeoff. But, you know.
But Takeoff was a lot of that core flow. We didn't know it, but he was that core flow that kind of got him off the ground.
Yeah, he was kind of like the heart of the group, but he was like the unsung hero. Like no one really thought, you know, you don't really think too much of Takeoff because he's not like a character.
Yep.
Quavo and Offset are like characters, right? Yeah. I think with the Migos, I think the Migos just kind of like brought a different sound and a flow. You know, even though the flow is copied from a Memphis legend by the name of Lord Infamous. Not sure if you're familiar from 3-6, but they kind of brought a new style. When you bring something new to the game, I think you have a longer run than someone that's mimicking something that's already been out. You know what I'm saying? Just like if you think about, because it's always an argument with people about like the most impactful rappers of all time. Like not the dopest, not the most lyrical, but who's the most impactful, right? And I always say you have to put in Tupac, Kanye West, and Lil Wayne. And I feel like each one of those artists birthed a whole generation of rappers after them. Maybe even go back to, you know, I don't know how old school you are, but if you go back to like Rakim, you know, and Big Daddy Kane, both of those guys birthed Biggie, Jay.
True.
Yeah. And it went through like a whole wave. But you have artists that come into the game and they add something that wasn't there. And those the blueprint of what's going on, that stays longer than anything.
True. Why do you think Nelly singing wasn't picked up? Right? Because really he should be like that, like he should have had a tree. But I think because of the state of the culture at the time and the hard culture, he didn't get a tree. So the next person is saying, you know, later on, then you get the Drakes. And Drake has a whole tree up under him. But, you know, Ja Rule was looked at for singing in a certain way after a certain period, after 50 came at him, even though 50 flipped it and started singing himself. Like, but those were like more one-offs. There were no youngins just coming out and doing it. Why do you think certain people like Nelly and other people, DMX, who did bring something crazy, unique to the game, didn't get the trees?
I think sometimes artists like even though Nelly kind of came, I think Nelly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think Nelly was like when music became very, very commercialized, I think Nelly was the pillar of commercialized hip hop, right? Yeah. As far as, and this, you got to remember, this is the early 2000s. This is when rap music actually became pop music. And this is when, you know, Hot in Here and, you know, all those records that he was putting out was like the pillar of like crossover music, right? Yeah. I think sometimes when, you know, you might have artists that kind of do it, but they might not take it to a level that the next guy would take it to, right? Like T-Pain was using auto-tune before Kanye was ever touching it, right? It was Kanye and him being the creative genius that he is, he took it to a certain level that T-Pain couldn't take it to. Same thing with Nelly. I think Nelly had it and reached a certain level, but I think, and I'm trying to get my timeline right, so you kind of had Nelly like early 2000s, and I think rap changed and it went down to Atlanta, and that's when you got the Jeezys, the T.I.s, and the Gucci Mane. So I just think Nelly kind of didn't, I just think rap changed too quickly for Nelly to kind of adapt to it. I just don't think that's why it, you know, went on to evolve, because rap changed versus like Kanye, rap didn't change. It kind of started to, you know, he was like the birth of it, and then it really started to go into that vein with Kid Cudi, and then you got Drake, and Drake became that superstar, right? And then it was after that, it's like, oh, everybody else, the Juice WRLDs, the XXXTentacions, like all those guys afterwards kind of just took it in different directions based off the same tree that was from Drake to Kanye, you know, and et cetera, et cetera.
Got you. Yeah, it's always funny to hear, like, when you think about some of these trees, because there's a lot of the artists who say, I'm not inspired, or I don't even rock with this artist, but it's like your stuff comes directly from this artist, or it's connected in that tree. Anybody who really knows and listens. And
sometimes they might notice it. Yeah, sometimes they might notice it because, like, you might hear these things growing up. I think it's funny because I'm born in 93, right? So a lot of these kids that's popping right now are born in the early 2000s, right? Yeah. So they might have heard things, you know, at 4 and 5 years old, they might have heard their parents playing the music and didn't know, like, oh, this music is inspiring me to, you know, go off and rap and stuff like that. I think Lil Wayne is pretty much is the most artist that influenced everyone. Like, that Lil Wayne era was so dominant. Like, there's no way that no artist today cannot say Lil Wayne did not influence them.
Yeah, hey, it was just him for like 7 years at least.
The hottest. That's why Lil Wayne, to me, and I argue with people, Lil Wayne is forever top 5. Because nobody had it like Wayne had it.
Yeah. I mean, him and Drake have had the most unique runs or dominant runs, but not like we had Wayne. Because Drake still is filled with contenders. It was just like nobody with Wayne.
It was nobody.
It was crazy.
It was nobody at all. It was funny. You got to think, Wayne came in a time where there was a T.I., there was a Kanye, you know what I'm saying? There was a Jeezy, you know, Jay was still active. Eminem was still active.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there was contenders, but Wayne just had it on life. It was, and what made Wayne's story so dope is that he came from when he was a kid. No one saw Wayne coming. I don't think no one, because you have, like, Kendrick came out on fire. Drake came out on fire. Kanye, they came out on fire. Wayne didn't necessarily come out on fire. You know, he was the 4th member of the Hot Boys.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't even the best member of his own group.
Yeah.
You know? And slowly over time, you hear Wayne song, you're like, it's Wayne or whatever. It's Lil Wayne. And I don't know, but around Carter 2, you're like, oh, who the hell? And it's like, that's Lil Wayne? Like, why would he Lil Wayne?
Yeah. Yeah, that was Lil Wayne was like what's his name? Lil Wayne was like Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown was not supposed to be the star. It was supposed to be Ralph Tresvant.
Yeah, exactly. New Edition. Exactly.
He's the bigger one. He's the biggest, most charismatic, and the one that people remember more than anybody. That's how Lil Wayne came. It was like, yo, you weren't even supposed to be the one. It was supposed to be Juvenile. And
it was Juvenile.
Yeah.
He was second. And then, like, so you didn't matter. I always say, like, Lil Wayne is the Kobe Bryant of hip hop. Kobe didn't necessarily come out on fire, and I don't think no one thought Kobe was going to be one of the greatest basketball players that ever lived. And then, you know, he got with Shaq, and then it was just like, yo, this guy is one of the greatest to ever do it.
I've heard that, Chase. I agree with a lot of those points. So I can say I agree with a lot of those points. But sometimes I think about Drake being the Kobe Bryant, because I'm thinking about Jay-Z being Michael.
Yes.
So using him as that context is because Lil Wayne is such an outlier at the same time. Like, he's so different.
Drake is more like LeBron. I would say Drake is more like LeBron, where
I can give you that.
Drake doesn't have as many classic albums or moments than Jay and Wayne. Right? You know, depending on how you feel or whatever, I feel like Drake has one. I would even give him 2 classic albums, which is Take Care and Nothing Was the Same. Right? Everything else is like, but all of his stats, singles, Billboard records, this and the LeBron guy. LeBron is
Stat crunchers.
Yeah, it's like when exactly. Like when LeBron is over with, he won 3 rings, 8 tries, 9 tries, whatever it may be. But he's number 1 leading scorer. He's top 10 assists and all that. Those are gonna be all the arguments. And with Drake, that's going to be his. He had all the hit records, and he broke Billboard and did all of this. But as far as like hip hop, what did he do to the culture of hip hop?
Yeah,
that's a whole nother, and then the ghostwriting thing doesn't make it any better. So
yeah, that's true. Okay, so it's funny because they both, when I think about him and LeBron, they both play the nice guy role as well. That whole thing. And then when I think about Kobe and Lil Wayne, they are both extremely like the craft and kind of a recluse from the rest of the world. You know what I mean? Exactly. So like I could get with that. I could get with that. All right, that makes sense. And it's all in the same order. How can I argue with that? I like that.
Pretty close, man. You got to give me. I didn't want to give Drake his credit. I gave Drake his credit a few years ago. I didn't want to give him his credit. It took him.
Why not? I got it for somebody who shifted their opinion. Why did you start off not trying to give him his credit, and then what made it change?
I felt, man, because at the time I felt like he was. I'm a hip hop, like I'm a young hip hop head, right? I believe in the traditional, like being a part of the culture and just really being about this hip hop stuff, right? And I feel like what Drake was doing was just doing pop records. He was kind of like, I don't want to compare it to Vanilla Ice, but you know how MC has like, MCM has a diamond album, right? Like he has a diamond album, right? Yeah. So you can't argue with a person that has a diamond album, right? And Drake was kind of the person that came in and was getting all the success, but I felt like he didn't really embody the ideology of a great rapper, right? Mainly because he was singing a lot, he was light skinned, whatever the case may be. So I didn't give Drake his credit until Back to Back. When I heard Back to Back against Meek Mill, that's when he got my official stamp of approval. I said, "Yo, this guy right here is." I said, because he was like he embodied the tradition of hip hop. He battled a great battle rapper and he won.
Yeah,
bad. He embarrassed him.
That's why that moment helped and hurted him in the same vein, right? Because the ghostwriter thing, but then it allowed him to show and prove in that moment right there. And I remember, I'm hearing that back to back that first time, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is."
It's the way he did it and the fashion that he did it, man. Yeah. And you know what's funny? Just because we're on the topic of Drake and battle rapping, people might not agree. I'm gonna be honest. Did you hear the Drake freestyle against Pusha T when they was going back and forth?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Drake. He had one. He might have gotten Pusha. I'm gonna be honest. He might have gotten Pusha.
Yeah.
That freestyle was something tough. When you go back and listen to it, and the way he came in, I was just like, whew.
I felt the same. I felt that way in the moment. Just, that style, that more aggressive style, a lot of times I feel like can allow things to be judged on a sliding scale where they amped it up for Pusha T's verse. You know what I mean? Obviously Pusha's dope, but in that, I didn't think he got killed like people thought. And I'm not big on like the gimmicks, the big reveals of someone's personal life and things like that. Like not like, oh, you shouldn't have did that. Like I just don't really care about that kind of stuff because that's really just feels like gossip. I'm just about like, how did you line up the bars and did you touch me in a certain way? And Drake, I was with him in that moment. But I couldn't really say that out loud. Like, you couldn't really argue because everybody was coming the other way. So
yeah, because it was the shock factor. I think because like we really wanted Drake to lose. I didn't really care, but people really wanted Drake to lose. Yeah. And so for Push to kind of come out the way, and don't get it real, Push got off. He got off. But Drake, as far as like clever wordplay, and when he said, if you rebuke me for writing for someone else, what do you think of the nigga that's making your beats? He was going there, and I was just like, yo. He was just like, I just came through writing for y'all. And it's like, it was tough. I gotta give Drake credit, man. At the end of the day, Drake is gonna go down as top 10. I can't put him in top 5, but he would definitely go down as top 10.
Okay. Dang, so you got the list tight. Let me hear your top 5 right quick before we get out of here, bro.
My personal top 5 was the top 5.
Ooh, I want to hear the difference.
Well, the difference is personal top 5. I might not think these guys are like the best rappers, but these are the guys that I personally listen to the most and who I if I can only listen to 5 rappers for the rest of my life, these are the 5 rappers I would listen to. Who I think is the top 5 is who are people I think everyone can pretty much agree that these are the greatest rappers that ever rapped, ever.
All right. So who are the people though? I want to hear the difference of people.
Okay, so who I think is the greatest top 5? I gotta give it to Hov. I think Jay is probably. I don't think no one can argue that Jay-Z is the greatest rapper that ever lived. Like anybody that's been rapping since 1996 and ain't fell off yet, you gotta give that man his credit. So I definitely think Jay is number 1. Number 2, I gotta say Kendrick Lamar. And even though Kendrick is still new, I believe just his 4 albums are probably gonna, have you, put on his 4 albums. I think are probably the top 20 or top 50 greatest rap albums ever. So I gotta give Kendrick that number 2. Number 3, I gotta give it to Nas, right? And it's hard, I feel like Nas to me is so underrated as far because his beat selections are terrible. But Illmatic is literally like one of 50 years down the line from hip hop. I still think Illmatic is gonna be one of the most popular hip hop albums of all time. So you gotta give him that. Like, regardless of everything else, Illmatic is that one album that gotta put him in that top 5 3.
It's like the male miseducation. That's what that is. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was a one-off, but at the same time, I mean, it's one of those albums that, like, I feel like it changed culture, and I just think it's gonna transition through generation. So I gotta throw Nas in number 3. Number 4. Can I say Pac and Big for number 4?
Pac and Big?
Yeah, because I feel like they were, I can't put one above the other, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I think, but if I had to choose one out of the 2, I would have to say Tupac. Like, I feel like Tupac embodied what a rapper is and still is, it's just over time, he embodied a true rapper. He was everything. Wasn't as lyrically skilled or whatever the case may be, but the passion of hip hop, Tupac was that guy. And number 5, I gotta give it to Lil Wayne. Nobody had it like Wayne when Wayne had it, and I don't think we would ever see what made Wayne so dope in his run. He just did it by outworking everybody.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. He's just like, yo, Hov was like, I'm putting out an album every summer. Like, like DMX dropping 2 albums in the same year was very impressive. Wayne was like, nigga, I'm dropping 5 to 6 mixtapes in the same year. I'm gonna be on everybody's record. And it was just like, yo, how can you not get this guy? He fell off super bad after Carter 4. We don't count that. That was Michael Jordan going to the Wizards. We're not gonna count that. But Wayne is definitely the top 5. Now, personal top 5, who I listen to and who I like, who shaped my life. Kanye West, regardless of the red hat, everything else. Kanye West's music is some of the best music I've ever heard in my life, right? I don't think because he's mainly a producer. It's really just the music that Kanye makes, to me personally, that makes him my number 1. Number 2, personal favorite, Big Crit. Big Crit's music really changed my life. When I was going through things in life, I would put on a Big Crit album, and I've never heard a bad Big Crit song. Yeah, I can't say that about a bad Big Crit song. That's number 2. Number 3, I got to throw in Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick is just one of the illest that ever did it. Number 4, I'm gonna throw in J. Cole. I think J. Cole's one of those guys. Just when you're in there, when you're going through some, like, he just got something to say that I just gotta hear, right? Throw J. Cole, and then number 5. Number 5 was always tricky, and it kind of I changed number 5 like all the time. But I'm gonna say Pimp C from UGK. Like I said, Pimp C was just, riding dirty, like all those albums, and me just growing up from the side. That was like the soundtrack, like my childhood. All my cousins was listening to Pimp C and UGK, and it's just something about Pimp that just always stuck with me, just personality-wise, So I listen to Pimp C almost every week. There's an old whatever record. I listen to this record every week.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, man, that's something, I'm sure other regions feel the way they feel, but yeah, it's something, man, that just about that Southern stuff, man. Being from the South is just like,
It's a certain, you get a certain way when you growing up in the South and everything they talking about. You seeing the candy paint, you seeing the cars on the foes and the swangers, and you seeing people pull up and drink. It was a certain lifestyle and a culture that you just saw, and it was just so relatable to everything that was going on. But y'all, I want to hear your top five. Who are you listening to? Who your top five?
This ain't about me, bro. This ain't about me, bro.
Just as a fan. I'm always curious about people's top five. That's how I judge you.
Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. And this is wait, are you talking about the objective top five or just like
personal top five? Personal.
All right. So Jay-Z is still, and these are all that like impacted me in some kind of way. Like just happened to catch me at a moment. Let me see. J. Cole. I'm gonna have to put these two in one. Mm-hmm. The Rich Gang project with Lil Young Thug and Rich Homie.
Okay.
It was something about that space in my life. You know what I mean?
Like, you from Atlanta, right?
Yeah. It was something about that space in my life. It gets hard though. After that. Especially with rappers, sometimes I go to R&B easier. If I had to listen to the rest of my life, who I would listen to? I want to say Jeezy. I'm gonna put that on the side. Man, let me see. I actually never thought about a personal top before in that way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's different. Some people are just kind of like, if you don't have it, you just don't have it. If you got those people like your core.
Nah, I'm thinking probably Big Crit and Biggie Smalls.
Okay.
I think that rounded it out too. Yeah, just off the top, those are the ones that came to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta. You know what? I gotta. Since you said we're putting 2 in 1, I gotta throw Hove in there right next to Kanye. I gotta throw Hove.
Okay, next to Kanye. All right, that makes sense.
And I don't know why my mind went blank when I thought about Hove, and I'm actually upset with myself that I did not throw Hove in there because like Reasonable Doubt, that album, like when I went back and heard it, I was like, yo, this is the best thing I've ever heard. So I don't know why I didn't put Hove in there, but Kanye and Hove in the same vein as my number one. I don't know why I forgot that, but Hove and Kanye the same. That was Washington was the first show I'd ever been to. That concert changed my life. When I saw Kanye in 2011, I was just like, yo, like best rap show I ever seen. It was my first, and it, hold near and dear to my heart.
Okay, yeah. See, I can see that. Because when I think about my top, like I said, everything, well, in that particular size, all is very specific reasons. Like, are you talking about your first show and all that stuff? Like I said, that period of my life where Rich Homie and Young Thug, just like there's a lot of visuals, a huge specific soundtracks, a lot of music I've always loved, but for some reason that one hit different. Then Jay-Z, it really started. My dad had this mixtape from like this DJ put together. It was like all his verses. So it was like 30, 40 tracks of just his verses going from song to different songs to songs. So it was probably a best of. So I'm just listening, like just the verse. That was the first time I ever paid attention to his lyrics because they weren't necessarily all just full song. And a lot of them were B-sides. Then they had this track with him, DMX and Ja Rule that was crazy. So I was like, that impacted me in a way. Crit and J. Cole, I discovered them at the same time on YouTube, back in like high school. Crit just, I thought he was going to be so much bigger, especially when he came out with, which was country shit. I was like, all right, this is going to be one for him.
Yeah, you know what? Bro, when you say that, I met Big Crit. I think I met him, this 2020. I want to say I met him last year.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, how much like Return of Forever and like all those early projects that he did, how they like changed my life. And one of the things I had mentioned to him, I was like, yo, like, keep doing you, bro. I feel like you still got so much more to go. Like, and I think like Big Crit, like when you think of like the new guys, the Drakes, the Kendricks, the J. Cole's, right? I feel like Big Crit should be right there with them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And, and for whatever reason, Crit never got to that point, and I just feel like, I don't know if it's just because he's so Southern, and I think it has a lot to do with it.
It has a part to do with it. There's nobody, like, period, right, like that has that accent, that strong accent. Like, it used to be a lot of those dudes, but, like, just the fact that he raps still with that accent is meaningful in today's climate where you don't hear a lot of people on a, like, recognizable level that had it. It was the Pip C, Bum B, the whole Houston, the whole, like, just the whole South, right? But you don't really hear no guys who's young that you can think of to have that accent.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple, like, Yellow Beezy, I think is one of those guys that have like a very.
He's not on the same notoriety, like that level. I'm talking about past a certain level of notoriety. Not that he's not dope, and I rock with him. But Crit, you just mentioned Crit as where he should have been, right? Like, there's nobody that gets recognized on that level that has really any kind of Southern accent. Like the Migos don't, they talk like Atlanta, which is a little bit different than like that other Southern. You know what I mean? Like that, it's not that country accent. It's like a Southern hood accent. You know what I mean? Like, which is different.
Yeah, it's popular. Atlanta is the popping inside. I heard someone say this, right? And I couldn't disagree. They said Atlanta has held the pulse of hip hop longer than any coast.
Yeah, 100.
I didn't think about it. And someone told me, it was like, I didn't really think of, because it was like, if you really put it into perspective, like New York had it in 80s, early 80s up until like late 80s until like NWA came out, right? And then it was kind of like the 90s was kind of split. You know what I'm saying? Like, however you want to put it, early 90s was more maybe New York, and then late 90s when Pop and Dre and Snoop was all them was dropping, was kind of like mid 90s up until like the early 2000s. And then it just shifted with Outkast, and then it just kind of stayed in Atlanta from Outkast, and then you went on to get T.I. and Gucci and Jeezy and Shawty Lowe's and, all those guys, and D4L and all those guys kind of led. And then when you got the prime of Atlanta, right, when you got the Waka Flockas, and I think Travis Porter is from Atlanta, right? Yeah, when Travis Porter and all those guys, and then when the Migos really took off.
Future, Thug, all that, yeah.
It just had Thug and Future and, you know what I'm saying, like.
Yep.
It did not Atlanta's, impact. And, it's just Atlanta has to go down. It might end up going down as the number one, like, coast of hip-hop. Past New York, past LA. Over time, the generation after me, me and a little bit younger than me, we all think we're going to know is Atlanta. We're not going to know the rain in New York. And New York kind of a little bit,
New York was
every time New York.
New York is unfair because they control the media too.
Exactly. Everything's in New York.
Yeah.
New York is very powerful. New York, like New York versus everybody. They don't care, and because New York divided in itself.
I know, man.
Like Atlanta is just Atlanta. Like no matter if you're from Riverdale, like it don't matter. Like Atlanta is just Atlanta. Yep. New York, you Queens, you Brooklyn, you Staten Island, you the Bronx. Yep. That's it. They wasn't together at all.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. Let me get you up out of here, man. Though, like on the interview tip, we can talk after, bro. Like, tell them where to follow you, bro.
Oh yeah, man. You can follow me on Instagram at MikeJack12. It's MICJACK12. Feel free to hit me up, man, if you got any questions. And yeah, man, I'm always on Instagram. That's kind of like my place I'm always at. So yeah, feel free to hit me up on Instagram.
All right, 100. Y'all heard the man. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like, you might as well share it. And if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button.
It's the network.